Greetings, greetings. So happy to be here with you today. It's one of my powerful reflections and contemplations encourages me to continue to look at what I'm doing and why I'm doing what I'm doing and what's the potential for me, what's the possibility for me if I look at what I'm doing, contemplate, is this true and honest, sane and sensible action, and then begin again. So, in this time that we're in, as we proceed into this, I'll offer 8 quits, potential things that we may can quit or do less of. And I know quitting for me, I've made many attempts to quit these things, to quit. And it's not a tick box exercise. Did I just quit? No. Did I attempt to quit? Yes. And it's a direction to go in, not a checkbox exercise. So these are from emotional, healthy spirituality, emotionally healthy spirituality, and referencing an author named Geri Scazzaro, Scazzero, Geri Scazzaro. And they have a very powerful interfaith and interdenominational ministry up in New York and have been at this for a long time. And I have adapted these based on my own integrations of them. So the first one is in the 8 quits or 8 do less ofs. 8, this is what I'm giving up for Lent, whatever you want to call it. This is what I'm going to attempt to give up for Lent. This is the direction I'm going to go into during this spring renewal, rejuvenation, resurrection period of my own life and see what's possible as a result of it. And to contact me at any time with your comments, questions, dialogue, discussions, um, friendly civil debates, marthacreek.com. Number 1, quit being so afraid of what others think about me. Quit being so afraid of what others think about me. So they're going to think everything under the sun about me. They're going to think I'm kind, that I'm unkind, that I'm respectful at times, that I've been disrespectful at times. They're going to think I'm successful and all that in a bowl of biscuits. And they're going to think I'm not all that in a bowl of biscuits. They're going to think, oh, she's my cup of tea. And they're going to think she is not my cup of tea. And get a sense of what it would be like to allow all that polarity of thinking, all that spectrum of thinking. And it's all right. It's okay that it's there. And what it would be like to be less afraid of it. That instead, so if we're going to do less of that, what are we going to do more of? And that is to anchor my wholeness in the love of God. That my wholeness, my power, my value, my worth, my actions, my integrity is based, anchored, solidly anchored in the wholeness of the love and light and power and presence of God, creator, life, universe, whatever word you give to that. So then I'm going to do less. I'm going to be quitting relying on the approval, the acknowledgement, the support, the appreciation of others for my sense of self-worth. Wow. And I'll leave with each of these 8 quits a question for your own contemplations or meditations. What are the consequences of my dependency on the thoughts of others? Who do I rely on for my sense of self? Who do you rely on for your sense of okayness? Who and why, and what are the consequences? Number 2, quit lying. This one is a whole nother talk for me because of how much fear I have from a little girl of lying and liars. And if I stopped lying so much, which includes quit pretending to be fine when I'm actually not feeling fine. What causes you, this is the reflection part of this, what causes you to pretend life? What causes you to pretend you're fine? So the quit is to quit pretending everything is fine when it is not, and actually do something to make it more fine. Quit pretending everything is fine when it is not, and change whatever I can that would lead me in the direction of it actually being fine or finer. This includes for me truly living a relenting honesty with myself, an unrelenting honesty, and an unrelenting honesty with all the aspects of myself, including my emotional aspects, my spiritual aspects. An unrelenting honesty with myself and all the parts of me, with God, and yes, with others. And how many times I've said over the years when asking people, how are they? How are they? I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. It's all good, it's all good, it's all good. It's like, well, tell your face, because your face has not caught up to how good it is yet. So an unrelenting honesty about it instead of I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. And one of my friends told me this week, when people say they're fine, it is short, it's a code word for I'm really frustrated, irritated, neurotic, and enraged or something like that. Whatever FINE was an acronym for I'm everything but fine. So quit lying about that. Number 3, quit dying, depleting yourself, whatever dying would mean for you. Quit dying, depleting yourself toward the wrong things. Quit dying to things that drain off your energy. Stop leaking off your energy for things you actually do not care about, that are not integral for you, that actually don't interest you anymore. Instead, quit dying, having your spirit die and your creativity die to things that are simply distractions or addictions, anything that's a drain. To wake up then during this time to quit letting our vital life force and energy be drained off in that way, which is in some way dying. It's a dying off of our spirit. It's a dying off of our faith, a dying off of our spiritual practice. So to stop doing that. So then questions for reflection include, what actually brings you life? What makes your tail wag? Do more of that. What distracts you? What is a distraction? What do you go to that takes you away from your goals because it's habitual? So what's actually a distraction? What drains you? Who and what is it that drains you? When you leave them, you actually feel worse instead of better. Or what action are you in? It could be too much time scrolling through social media, or watching news, or making myself read a book I really don't want to read because I started the book and now I've got to finish it, versus I don't have to finish this book. Like, just because I started it doesn't mean I'm going to finish it. Like, it's not making my tail wag. I'm not uplifted by it. So to receive the many gifts that God has provided to us, through us, as us, to nurture those gifts instead. Nurturing those gifts that are innate in us that would actually delight us, lighten us up, dial up our luminosity. Number 4, quit denying that you have anger, sadness, that you have fear. These are part of our humanness. There's nobody that's immune from these things. So to quit denying that we have them, to embrace our God-given humanity, that we are divine and humanness in that divinity, and start to pay some attention to, care for, and nurture, go toward with some understanding, difficult emotions, and discerning then through our spiritual practices how God's presence is here for us, even in these difficulties, even in the anger, even in the sadness, even in the fear, that God's presence is ever abiding and is present in them and comes through them to us. That these are also ways to use the presence of God in times like this. That God is also using these emotions to reach us, to remind us, to awaken us. So quit ignoring feelings, quit suppressing, depressing, denying feelings for our own sake. And the contemplation question is, what feelings do you commonly disregard or deny? What feelings do you disown or judge as negative and then won't allow them to be part of your spiritual practice? Communion. Number 5 is quit blaming. Now, if you only do one of these, and this one's the one, it'll absolutely change your life experience. And from my own direct experience, I know this in certainty to be true, which includes expecting and accepting that others are going to blame us. Of course. So this is a big shifting out of this, oh my God, OMG, can you believe they blamed me? To, of course they blamed me. Of course, that's what human beings do. So go over to YouTube when you can and search Brene Brown, Brene, Brene Brown blaming, and see the psychological effects of this, the psychological causes of this, and how much this runs in our humanness. It's humorous. It's less than 10 minutes. Brene Brown on blaming. So instead of giving away my God-given personal freedom and power to accept that others will blame me, and for me to be the one that stops blaming as much, quits blaming others. So then I take responsibility for my own emotions, my own thoughts, my own consciousness, my own soul's evolution, and allow people to do whatever in the world they've got to do and hold me responsible for it, so they can hold me responsible for it without me taking the responsibility for it sometimes. So who do you blame? Who gets the brunt of your blaming? What's it like when others blame you? That's a reason to do less of it, just because of how it feels when it's done unto me. Who primarily blames you? And what are they blaming you for? And what is the impact of your displacing blame? And what's the impact of you taking their blame or taking blame for them? Number 6 is quit over-functioning. Now, this is a term that's used in healthy congregational work. It's also a term used in family systems, psychological, therapeutic work for those of us that take on responsibility for things we're not actually responsible for. So, in a 12-step arena, it would be called codependency. So, quit some of the codependency. That means that I quit doing for others what they can actually do for themselves. Or I'm going to do less for others when it's clear they can actually do this for themselves. They're just not doing it for themselves. It also means quit trying to control other people. Everybody breathe. I cannot control others. Dang it. I cannot control situations at times. So at times I have power, and at times I am powerless. Reality. So when I have power, I'll use it. I'll change everything I can to make it more sane and sensible for me, more reasonable to me, more better in my mind. And at times I'll be powerless to change any of it. The contemplation question is, who do you do for? And why are you doing for them? What's driving this? Sometimes it's the need to be needed. Sometimes because we know what's best for them. We know how they ought to be doing it. What are the consequences of your overdoing? And this one happens to be reciprocal. So the more I continue this overdoing, the more I continue this overfunctioning, the more they underfunction. So the more I do, the less they do. So it's a mad cycle of this. Not to mention, the more I do and do and do, as I get more burned out and frustrated and irritated and tired, the more likely I am to get resentful, hateful, stubborn, sensitive, slow to recover. So real consequences for everybody. Number 7 is quit faulty thinking. Faulty thinking. What are some examples of faulty thinking for you? People should be kind. People better respect me. This kind of faulty thinking opposes reality. Traffic should flow. So every time traffic doesn't flow, I've got grounds to be irritated again. So instead, to choose to live in reality, awake and aware, and more accepting of reality on reality's terms. To live in a actual based, reality based thinking instead of a distorted thinking, a faulty thinking. of fantasy thinking. It also includes quit making assumptions that leave us powerless, and quit making assumptions and interpretations that leave us in unnecessary pain. Faulty thinking. So I invited somebody to lunch. They said no, period. There's no pain in that. And the pain is in me interpreting that. They don't value me. They don't respect me after all I've done for them. So hi ho, off to hell I go, back into pain, or that was faulty thinking to interpret their simple no, they're not going to join me for a meal, as an example. And the last one is quit living someone else's life. So, who and what pressures you to be something besides who you are? Who pressures you to do it their way? Who pressures you to do what the family always did or to keep traditions? Who pressures you? Who wants for you what they want for themselves? That's the contemplation questions. So instead, what I can do instead is I quit living someone else's life or quit attempting to live someone else's life, is to take up the opportunity of living my own God-given, unique, unrepeatable life. To wake up to my own God-given gifts and talents and desires and to cultivate them. And to do less trying to be something God did not design me to be. To be a somebody God didn't design me to be, or to have gifts that God didn't bestow in me. Like, I don't have your gifts. I don't have musical gifts and mechanical gifts and high thinking technical gifts. I don't have gifts that I don't have. You don't have the gifts Martha Creek have. So cultivating the gifts we have versus being mad and frustrated that I didn't get the gifts of somebody else. So one of my favorite Myrtle Fillmore quotes is to take, you have within you the God-given talent, the God-given gifts to create the life you desire. I have that within me. You have that within you. Get at it. Get at it. Blessings and love. MarthaCreek.com to contact me.